Hi, I'm Lena, and welcome to Super Data JP, the channel where we turn Japan's real estate and cost of living numbers into answers you can actually use. Every video here is built on verified government data, not opinions, and not guesses. Whether you're planning to invest, relocate, or just curious what life in Japan really costs, you're in the right place. Let's get into today's numbers.
If you search Japan Business Manager visa requirements today, most of what comes up is already wrong. A rule that changed less than a year ago quietly multiplied the price of entry by 6, and almost nobody updated their article. This is the first video in a new series on visas, permanent residency, and what it actually takes to stay in Japan long-term, the same data-driven approach we've used on capital gains, inheritance, and corporate tax. The old minimum capital requirement for a business manager visa was 5 million yen, about $30,864. As of October 16, 2025, it's 30 million yen, about $185,185. Same visa, same name, 6 times the price. For a company, that 30 million yen means actual paid-in capital on the books. For a sole proprietor, it's different. The total you've invested in office space, 1 year of employee salary, and equipment, not literally 30 million yen sitting in a bank account. And the capital jump isn't even the whole story. 4 separate new requirements landed on the same day, and most of the articles ranking for this search term only mention one of them. Requirement 1, you now must employ at least 1 full-time staff member. Under the old rules, this was optional if you met other conditions. Now it's mandatory, full stop. Here's the trap almost nobody mentions. That employee can't just be any foreign hire. The default qualifying pool is Japanese nationals, permanent residents, special permanent residents, spouses of Japanese nationals or permanent residents, and long-term residents. A regular work visa holder only counts if they can separately prove Japanese language ability. A concrete example, hire a friend on a standard engineer or specialist in humanities visa, with no proof of Japanese ability, and that hire does not count toward your mandatory employee requirement at all, even though you're legally employing them. Requirement 2, either you or that employee needs Japanese ability at roughly JLPT N2 or CEFR B2 level, proven by the test itself, a business Japanese test score, 2 decades of residency, or graduating from a Japanese school. Requirement 3, you need either a graduate-level degree, master's, doctorate, or equivalent, in management or your business field, or at least 3 years of documented management experience. Time spent on a startup prep visa counts toward that clock. Requirement 4 is the one that surprises people most, because it's barely covered anywhere. Your business plan itself now needs a professional signature before immigration will even look at it. Specifically, a licensed SME consultant, Chushokijio Shindanshi, a certified public accountant, or a registered tax accountant, Zairashi, has to review your plan and confirm it's specific, realistic, and achievable. A plan that looked fine to an immigration lawyer in 2024 can now get rejected by this new checkpoint alone. That review isn't free or fast. Budget real time to find a professional willing to put their name on your specific plan, and a real consulting fee on top of your incorporation costs. This step alone has become a common reason applications stall. One practical bridge worth knowing. Time spent on Japan's separate startup visa, the special activity status for founders preparing to launch, counts toward the 3 years of management experience, so it's not wasted time if you eventually move to this visa. There's also a 5th, quieter change, using your own apartment as the company's registered office, common under the old rules for small operations, is no longer accepted. You need a genuine, dedicated business address sized for your actual operations. Why all 5 changes on the same day? Immigration authorities had flagged the old 5 million yen threshold as too easy to game. Shell companies with no real staff, no real office, and no real business activity, used purely as a residency shortcut. If you already hold this visa, there's a genuine grace period, renewal applications filed within 3 years of the effective date, until October 16, 2028, won't be automatically denied just for not meeting the new numbers yet. But that protection isn't unconditional. It requires your business to be in genuinely good standing, all your taxes paid on time, and a credible path toward meeting the new standard by your next renewal. After the 3 years pass, the new rules apply in full. One more consequence that catches people off guard: if you don't meet the new standard, you can't use this visa to apply for permanent residency, and highly skilled professional holders can't upgrade from the visa-based category to the point-based one either. Also worth killing now, having 30 million yen doesn't guarantee approval by itself. Miss the employee, the language proof, the experience or degree, or the certified plan, and the capital alone won't save the application. This isn't old news either. Immigration authorities were still publishing clarifying Q&As on edge cases, like exactly how sole proprietors prove their investment total, as recently as June 2026, months after most complete guide articles were already published. Put the headline number in perspective against what it actually means to fund a real company here. Under the old rule, 5 million yen, about $30,864, was often just parked as paid-in capital, with no employee, no language requirement, and no professional sign-off needed. Under the new rule, 30 million yen, about $185,185, has to fund a company that actually employs someone, operates from a real office, and has a business plan a licensed professional is willing to put their name on. Zoom out further and the real budget is bigger than the headline number: incorporation fees, the certified plan review, translation of documents, and often an immigration lawyer or administrative scrivener on top of the 30 million yen itself. This affects anyone planning to start a company in Japan as their path to residency, current business manager visa holders approaching a renewal, and anyone using the visa as a stepping stone toward permanent residency or highly skilled professional status. Before you file, confirm which capital definition applies to your structure, line up a qualifying employee early since that search alone can take months, get your Japanese ability documented, and budget for a paid consultation with an SME consultant, CPA, or tax accountant to certify your plan. Next in this series, what permanent residency actually requires in 2026 beyond the 10-year headline number, and what retiring in Japan as a foreigner really costs without a dedicated retirement visa. The 5 million yen number still dominates search results, but it's been obsolete since October 2025. The real bar isn't just 6 times higher, it's a fundamentally different test of whether your business is real. Quick recap: capital minimum 5 million yen, 30 million yen. Plus a mandatory employee, JLPTN2, level Japanese, 3 years of experience or a relevant degree, and third-party certification of your business plan, all effective October 16, 2025. That's what the business manager visa actually requires now, not what most search results still say. Subscribe for the rest of this visa and residency series, and for more data-driven breakdowns of life and investing in Japan.
And that's today's breakdown. If you're serious about real estate or moving to Japan, research like this is exactly what separates a smart decision from an expensive mistake. Subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, and drop a comment if there's a city or word you want us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.